I don't want to be black no more. It's nothing to do with my hair, skin color, or facial features. I began to hate my association due to race. There are several reasons I don't want to be black. First, black is not a person, it's a color. And most black people aren't black. They are various shades of brown, and black is the greatest contrast between white, black and white. Outside of the color of a crayon, let's look at the words associated with black. Black ball, black magic, black plague, black cat, black list, black sheep, black hole, black cloud. All negative words. Black has a negative connotation. Next, black people didn't even think of the name to call themselves. Europeans thought of their own name and they created the name to call blacks. Medieval and modern Europeans, they called darker people Muslims, Africans, Arabs. They called these people black. Then when you get into race, that was created in the early 1500s, and in the late 1500s, it was introduced in English. It wasn't until the mid 1700s where race began to have a scientific meaning. Race is a social construct created by George Buffon. He was a French naturalist and a philosopher. Race within itself is a social construct, is man-made, is not a real science. All races have different blood types. There's all different blood types within each race. We're all people. If we're going to group people depending on skin tone, we might as well group people according to height, body shape, athleticism, smart, dumb, non-athletic. There's various ways you can group people. Nationality, culture. We should not be grouping people the way we group people today according to race, because it's just another means of separation. What is a race actually? It's a competition to the finish line. That's what race is. The way race is used today is used like a caste system. Like East Indians and other parts of South Asia, they use caste systems, putting certain groups, families, and people at the top of the social hierarchy, in the middle, and at the bottom. Black is at the bottom of the American and world hierarchy, socially, financially, everything. At this point, why can't I just be referred to as an American or a human? Even when I went to college at a so-called higher learning institution, every single class I was reminded where my race stood in a social hierarchy. Psychology, we have the most social and mental stressors out of every group. We don't seek treatment and we don't take treatment seriously. Sociology, we live in the harshest conditions and have the most children out of wedlock. Anthropology, we live in the most undeveloped countries. Political science, no political movement, we don't vote, most imprisoned people. History, we were slaves, we didn't have human rights. Economics, no group economics, our money doesn't circulate within the group. As a matter of fact, we have the least within group circulation out of any group. Finances, we poor as hell, and we have the lowest socioeconomic status out of all communities. Art, we have superb creativity, musical abilities, and artistic abilities, but we have the least business acumen, and other groups get rich off of our abilities. Business, once again, we have no business acumen, we can't work together, and we don't own shit. Health and nutrition, we have the worst dieting and health ailments galore, including but not limited to obesity, hypertension, diabetes, kidney failure, heart disease, cancer, stroke, asthma, and the highest rates of STDs, STIs, HIV, and AIDS. This is the God's honest truth, and it's not due to our abilities or lack of abilities, but black people as we know them today, we are the weakest group. We gotta admit that to overcome it, especially black Americans. While I know hundreds, if not thousands of successful, respectable black Americans, I have to give us a failing grade overall. But every time I talk about fixing our own situation, somebody gets mad at me and tell me, what about white people? Well, white people do this too. Oh, what about slavery? What about institutional systematic racism? No one cares about that. No racial group or institution is going to fix our problem for us. It's been hundreds and hundreds of years. No one's going to do it for us. We got to do it for ourselves. The institution, the establishment, they need prey. They need somebody at the bottom. They need someone to exploit. And we've been chosen for that position a long, long time ago. That's just the way it is. The question is, what are we doing for ourselves? We still killing each other at alarming rates. And I know every group kills each other the most, but we do it at higher rates. We still celebrating Pookie and Ray Ray released from prison more than we celebrating Braxton and Vincent graduating college. We still doing that. We got to get our priorities straight. There's no excuse for joining gangs. That's worse than choosing to do crack at this point when we know what it does to you. There's no excuse for celebrating ignorance. There's no excuse for being overly materialistic. There's no excuse for admiring mobsters and serial killers, putting morally depleted artists on pedestals, celebrity worship. We're the only group that makes entertainers our social political leaders. It's insane. They're not qualified. I'm tired of hearing our people complaining and not doing that. We hollering, oh, racism, oh, the cops killing us, oh, jobs won't hire, oh, men do this, oh, women do that. But do most of us take real action? The answer is no. I recently saw a college football bowl game named after Snoop Dogg, and that was the first person that I ever seen a bowl game named after, especially black person. And it so happens to be a 50-something-year-old gang member who's been gang banging for 30 plus years. What message does that send to our youth? Y'all tell our youth don't join gangs, but they witness a gang banger, 50-something years old, who's been repping faithfully Crips, hanging and banging for 30 plus years in a gang, enjoy all the perks of life. What message does that send to the youth? Yeah, I've heard nobody stand up and denounce Snoop Dogg or pressure him to renounce Crips and gang banging. I haven't seen it done, and it's because we have no standards. We stand for anything. Other groups would never tolerate this. It's pathetic. He almost 60 years old, representing West Side, bitch, Crips. Moreover, we don't respect black expertise. If a white guy or an Asian guy tells us something, it's gold. We gonna believe it, especially if they got on a white coat or a suit. It's a wrap. Most of us don't take anything serious when it comes to one another, and we always got jokes that we not getting paid for. Always got jokes. We can have a genius in our community, but what we gonna do? We gonna mistreat them, we gonna abuse them, we gonna belittle them, we gonna devalue them, we're gonna label them weird, lame, dorky, and eventually ostracize them. But if a group of elite whites or the system validates them, oh, that same person, then we respect them. But as we know it, the powers that be can validate an idiot, a murderer, a drug dealer, a psychopath, which they do on a regular for our community. And those people are validated by our community once they're validated by the system. That's just the way it goes. What makes me the most sick, because it's so played out, is that we're quick to holler this king and queen shit. I'm motherfucking king. Do we know that king and queen was an exclusive position where you had to conduct yourself in a certain manner? You had to have dignity. You had to move elegantly. You had to speak eloquently. You had to uphold a standard, walk with true confidence, set the example, be a leader. Most people in any time period could not be a king or queen because they did not have what it took and they were not qualified. And at a time when we're probably at our lowest mentally, we got almost everybody screaming they're king and queen. It makes no sense. No, what we have today is crabs in a barrel, hating, sociopathic, self-serving, idol worshiping blacks who act super scary towards other groups, but they're hyper aggressive towards our own. And I can say that with 100% certainty because I attended private school for 2 years plus. I went to college for 7 years. I coach. I've been a manager. I've done all type of things, and I've been around all types of people. And by far, I've been treated the worst by black people. That's the people who I've been the most diminished by, discredited, picked on, hated on the most, hardest to work with. Females unrealistic. They don't respect black men when you are confident. Then they think they should humble you. Begged the most by blacks, backstabbed the most by blacks. All of that good shit, all of that bad shit, however you want to say it. Side note, I went with my companion to the gym the other day, and she saw a bunch of weights racked up on the bar, and she was just like, who in the hell lifting all of them weights? I go lift them 10 times, and she just look and say, oh, okay. And that's just a microcosm of how some of our black women, they don't want to give our black men their credit. They don't want to make you feel good. They always want to humble you. Because before I lifted, she just was like, damn, who the hell? But I lifted 10 times and she said nothing. Now, when you try to enlighten black people, they don't want to hear it. They want to hear fun, excitement, funny, quick stimulation. That's all we gravitate towards. Unfortunately, that's not how real impact is made. The only way you make real progress is through sacrifice, challenging yourself, change, patience, being realistic, developing principles, and a unified code of conduct. Unified. If we don't have that, we are not a group, we are not a team, and we need to stop saying black community, because I don't want to be a part of that team. I coach, and if we go against a team and they're bigger, stronger than us, we're going to come up with a game plan, we're going to execute, we're going to out-hustle them, we're going to be more determined, we're going to figure out a scheme. We're always going to go in there confident. And until I get a team or a community like that, I don't want to be a part of it. I know I can't escape reality, but I will dissociate myself to the best of my ability from the black community and being black. And when somebody call me black, I'm going to check them. Just call me a person. Because I don't want to hear all that black shit. Because after all of this time, we're less unified than ever. And nobody don't want to do shit. I'm open to breaking off into a sub group with totally different identity than black. And on an individual level, I think mentally I have moved past race. Another thing, the word nigger, hard ER, should not be in any movies at this point. And any movies on these websites and apps, Netflix, they need to block that word out because the word is highly offensive. And not all, but many black people have a negative reaction to that term. Yet nigger is on 1,000 movies plus. I saw 2 good movies 2 days ago and the word was on there. We need to stop standing for anything. We need to ban the word nigger in all cinema. But once again, we have no boundaries, we have no standards, we have no power because we don't exercise our power. We should not be hearing the word nigger in any movies. We need respect for our culture, we need ideals, we need priorities, and right now we have none of it, and I'm disgusted, to be quite frank. Self-accountability, fix what we can fix. We can control ourselves, build yourself up, self-prioritize, raise your children right, run your household properly, and respect community. Stop focusing on BS. Tend to your business. Other groups, they have a system in place that favors them. We don't. Judges and police, they don't care about what you went through yesterday, last week. They don't care about what your ancestors went through 3 centuries ago. They're gonna jam you up in the system. So raise your kids right. I gotta look y'all in your eyes and let y'all know no other group is gonna help us. No system is gonna save us. We gotta start moving. Right now, females and males are not getting along. The old judging the young don't respect the old, the rich shitting on and exploiting the poor hating on the rich, Educated got their nose in the air, looking down on the uneducated. Uneducated calling the educated squares. No support for each other. We should be brothers, but we act like crabs in a barrel. That's a fact. Shit just fucked up. We fucked up as a whole. We gotta admit that. We gotta admit that we're on the bottom right now. We gotta admit that we can only fix it for ourselves. People like me who out here who really trying. I'm born, I wake up, and I'm forced to be in a dilapidated, makeshift community with no way out, grouped with miscreants. And when I try to fix anything or I try to be confident, that very group is trained to humble me immediately because they accept the status quo. My black ass ain't supposed to be shit. Sit your ass down and just complain with the rest of us. I'm done with it. I can't. I gotta be reminded every day that I'm black. I've had so many conversations with black people about being black. If I was to get some of that time back, all of that time back, it probably would add a couple months to my life. But I'm not stressing about all of that no more. I'm not getting my blood pressure high for people with no principles, no integrity, and no self-motivation. Lastly, by default, I'm grouped with people who I don't share values with, principles, customs, beliefs, drives, ambitions. We don't think the same, we don't act the same. And personally, I don't have an affinity to join any group or be a part of groups. Never thought about fraternities, gangs, all of that stuff never interested me. I don't identify, commit to organizations. I don't associate myself with my career or titles. I just do my own thing. They're just things that I do while I do have passion behind everything I do. But there's so many variables and intangibles to me that I can't be summed up by any identifiers, including my race. It's just another way to generalize, categorize, and limit me. I'll keep my facial features, my hair, my skin color, and you can keep race.